I guarantee that if you watch this video and the next video in completion and you follow it, you will get the best sleep of your life ever. You will go from not feeling good, having low energy, to having optimal recovery and optimal sleep, and it will improve almost every aspect of your life. Because let's be real, we sleep at least a quarter of our lives. Now, if you're consistently getting fewer than 7 to 8 hours of high quality sleep every night, here's the truth. It is definitely killing you and your health and fitness goals. Now, there's tons of research showing that there's adults that are getting fewer than 7 hours of sleep every night are at a higher risk of obesity, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, or just diseases in general, anxiety, depression, alcoholism, not to mention lack of recovery for your musculatures. You know, a lot of these things are going to take years off your life. And if you want to live a longer, healthier, happier life, which I know you do, that's why you're watching this video, you need to get more high quality sleep. But let's just forget about living longer for a second. Let's talk about living better. I mean, if you're tired of being tired all the time, of going through life with low energy and in a state of perpetual brain fog, then you have to get your sleep dialed in. Unfortunately, most of us were never actually taught how to sleep. It's not your fault, right? It's just something that we take for granted that everybody knows how to do, but the truth is they don't. In fact, for myself, it wasn't until very recently, like within the last 3 years, that I finally unlocked how to consistently get a great night's sleep. And since I have the quality of my days, my energy, my focus, my mood, they've all improved exponentially. And in this video, I'm going to show you my science-based sleep routine that you can do the same thing. Now, I've broken this into 3 parts. First is how to shut down, second is how to sleep, and third is how to wake up. All right, so let's dive into part 1, how to shut down. Listen, a great night's sleep begins the hours before your head even hits the pillow. In particular, we need to control for 4 things in our nightly shutdown protocol: light, timing, and stress. So let's start with light. Okay, this is going to be coming up a lot. Going to sleep is pretty straightforward. For our ancestors, once the sun went down, darkness started creeping in, and the body naturally goes into shutdown mode. Unfortunately, one of the greatest inventions of this modern era is artificial light. It has completely screwed this up for us, and as a result, our circadian rhythms are no longer tied to the cycle of the sun because we can light up our homes like a Christmas day around the clock, and if we want, we can take light to our advantages and at least not severely handicaps ourselves. Now, there's 3 things to think about when it comes to light. That is the intensity of the angle, the quality of light, and where we're receiving it out in the hours before bed. Okay, so let's break it down starting with intensity. Now, it's important and it's helpful to remember that for the vast majority of humanity's existence on this planet, we've only had the ability to control one single source of light, and that's fire. And firelight has 2 unique characteristics. The first is that it's not very intense, which is important because bright light signals to our brain that it's time to be awake. Dim light has the opposite effect. It makes us sleepy. Now, the second characteristic of firelight, which is interesting to consider here, is the angle. So just imagine a bonfire for a session. And if you can't, here you go. Bonfire, picture. Ta-da, it's low to the ground. It's not going to be above our eyesight, right? So where is it? It's not directly above. It's probably very close to the ground and in front of you. This means that the light hitting your eyes comes from a very low angle, which is fundamentally different from daytime. So, which is, coming directly from the sun overhead. And one of the coolest things to do about sleep has to do with your eye particular cells whose only job is to detect the low angle light and then signal it to the brain. So, hey, it's time to get sleepy. This is because the brain associates low angle light with the setting of the sun and the location of fire, light, both of which correspond with nighttime. And this is absolutely wild if you really stop to think about it. Some of your eyes, it's the only job. And this has so much to do with the reason why so many people have trouble to sleep. None of our lights, all of our lights are above our head. It's never eye level. But here's how you can use this to your advantage. You have to change the angle and the intensity of your light a couple hours before bed. So instead of using harsh overhead fluorescent lights like most of us have, get lamps and soft lights that are positioned at shoulder height or below, because most lamps are not going to be above our eye level, right? To signal to your brain that it's time to shut down. And bonus points, it kind of creates a cool little ambiance like a coffee shop, which helps you relax and chill out. The last aspect of light that I want you to consider is the quality. your light. In particular, I want you to draw your attention to the concept of blue light. You know, your screens, your phones, your computer, your television, all of that. They all put out a particular wavelength of light that is highly stimulating to the brain and our eyes. And you probably already know this, but you should limit your screen time, right? Especially in the hours before bed. Not only because of the blue light, but also because they are highly stimulating devices and you want your brain to start shutting down. But if you simply cannot do without your screens, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I don't put my phone away before 10 minutes before sleep. Then, at minimum, get some blue light blocking glasses, which can filter out this particular wavelength, which I will have linked below for you of the exact pair that I use, because that is definitely something that I do every single night when I go to sleep. I have my fucking phone right in front of my face, but at least I have the blue light because it blocks out the waves. Personally, I've seen a lot of benefit from this, but that said, I really think the bigger, more impactful tweak is to simply limit your screen exposure in the hours before bed. Now, in the other video after this, we're going to go into how to optimize that and some suggestions about that, so I'm not going to bore you with that. Please watch that after this. So now we're going to transition from light to the next thing we need to control is our shutdown routine, which is digestion. So, stay hydrated. Digestion requires a surprising amount of energy from the body. Now, this could be a whole other topic in conversation. But this can be disruptive to the act of sleep, particularly in the early hours of the evening when your body is most likely to be in the state of deep sleep and get your much needed REM, which is the key, for muscular growth and cellular regeneration. That's why sleep is so much more important. I want you to stop and take this in for a minute. If I told you I'd rather you not work out and then get 8 hours of sleep and like really good sleep versus working out and getting 6 hours or 5 hours and being tired all the time, would you think I would want you to do? The answer is probably surprising because it's not working out, right? Yes, obviously I want you to build muscle and strength and all that fun stuff. However, sleep is so much more important because not only does it allow you for your muscle to grow, recover, and cell regeneration, but it actually burns the most amount of calories and energy when you sleep. Okay, so even if you need to work out twice a week instead of 3 times a week, if that makes you get more sleep in the week, do it. Okay, but we went over digestion. It's probably not a good idea to stop drinking about an hour before sleep so you're not disturbed in the middle of the night going to piss, right? And again, I'm going to go over this more in depth on the second video. Now, depending on your schedule timing, you're eating, so you try to get your last in like 3 hours or 2 hours at maximum before sleep. Now, it might not be feasible, so just do your best with this one. But that said, it is absolutely critical you do everything in your power for this third thing in our shutdown routine, which is timing, okay? So when you wake up, is way less important to get a good night's sleep than when you go to bed. I'm going to repeat that. When you wake up doesn't mean shit compared to the timing of when you go to sleep. Because like your training with fitness, with health, consistency is the name of the game. Because we're trying to set our circadian rhythm so that we naturally get sleepy at the same time each night. Our ancestors didn't have alarms. They followed the clocks, or they didn't have a clock for the most part. They just followed the sun. And there's a lot of studies showing that it's actually more important to set a timer telling you when to go to bed than it is to actually set an alarm telling you when to wake up, okay? If you go to bed consistently at the right time, then when you wake up actually gets pretty easy. Now, the simplest way to determine your ideal bedtime is just to work backwards from when you want to wake up and how many hours of sleep you want or need, right? So start tracking your sleep and then you'll figure that out. So if you want to wake up at 6 a.m., and you want to get in a full 8 hours of sleep, then you need to be unconscious no later than 10 p.m., which means you probably need to start your shutdown routine around 8 p.m., which means you need to be in bed by like 9:30 at the latest. This might be the most important aspect of your shutdown protocol, so do not ignore it. Set a bedtime routine and then keep it. Now, the last aspect of our shutdown protocol is stress, okay? The key to an effective shutdown an effective shutdown protocol is that it's priming your body and your mind for deep relaxation so that sleep can occur naturally and effortlessly. Now, sometimes in an attempt to optimize things, we end up just making them more complicated, but here's 4 really easy ways to introduce physical relaxation in the hours before bed. Number 1, take a hot shower or bubble bath. I like baths. Number 2, you could drink some hot tea, and I don't know how to say cocoa badabada. Coca melon, Kucha lemon, you know what I'm saying, the lemon shit and the tea, okay? Number 3, you could read a book or some other non-stimulating activity. If you're going to read a book, make sure it's not like Tom Clancy or something that's going to get like your heart racing. I know my grandma sometimes, she's like, I had a shitty night's sleep because I was reading this book. I'm like, okay, well then maybe read like Geronimo Stilton or like Dr. Seuss, because, you know. And number 4, what helped me the most, my coach forever ago, God bless him, he's one of my best friends, I love him to death, best friend at his wedding, blah, blah, blah. I used to suffer with a lot of depression, and one of the best things he told me was to start a gratitude journal. Now, I don't want to get, this will be more on the topic of mindfulness, right? Because I have a module going over that. But when you're, you know, you got all these thoughts going on, or when you're depressed, start a gratitude journal, or at the very least, start a daily journal in general, right? And then the last thing is, if you want to get really fancy, you can introduce some supplements. So let's cover that a little bit. I believe that supplements, both for sleeping, I believe that supplements for sleeping are a 20% solution that you should only bother with once you focused on the foundational things to drive 80% of the results. It's almost the same thing with nutrition, right? If you want to tinker with supplements, make sure you've gotten all the controlled fundamentals of digestion and timing. And if you have, then here's 3 supplements you might consider. I'm going to put a 4th one in here. Okay, I will link these all for you. Okay, melatonin, magnesium, multi-purpose / sleep HD. Okay, now melatonin is a powerful hormone that our body already produces by the brain in response to darkness. In some ways, it's like the sleepy molecule. So if you're having trouble falling asleep, it only makes sense to take something like melatonin to give you a quick dose of sleepy time. Melatonin is a hormone. As such, you should be very careful introducing it artificially into your body, right? Personally, I don't think it's worth the potential downsides, and I would steer clear. I don't ever feel tired or have any benefit from using it. Other people say different. However, my sleep protocol is pretty elite. So again, focus on the variables that you can control versus just popping melatonin every single night. There is no addictive properties of it, though. That's one thing I want to say. So do not take like a sleep medication or a sleep medicine, because those tend to have a very addicting, like you got to take it all the time. This is just for liability. Consult with your doctor, but I don't really think you need to consult with a doctor over melatonin. Now, magnesium, on the other hand, it's another compound that people commonly use to induce feelings of sleepiness, and it alleviates a lot of symptoms of anxiety, so this is a much better option. It's also in a lot of sleeping aids. So now with that said, some people have adverse reactions to magnesium in too large a quantity, so just be careful with it. Now, the third supplement is what I call multi-purpose. So these are specifically formulated concoctions designed to facilitate relaxation and sleep. And there's a lot of these out on the market, and I've noticed some positive effects with them, but just like be careful, because you don't really know what sort of scientific engineering is actually behind the scenes with a lot of these supplements. They're filled with low quality ingredients. I'm going to show you the Sleep HD one. Now, I know, as a matter of fact, I don't know him personally, but I know the doctor that formulated this, Adil Khan. He is a very, very smart, like, actual registered doctor. That's why I always recommend HD supplements. Their formulation is not full of shit. Like, it's not full of, like, low-quality dosed ingredients. I can tell you every single one of these. I know what every single one of these are. And as you can see, magnesium, right? And it's different types of it. But I wouldn't say you need to buy this, because then you're going to somewhat become dependent on this. I'd rather you focus on actually getting a good night's sleep and focusing on the optimized. But I'll link this below. They ship to Canada and US, I think internationally as well. All right. Now, again, supplements are not going to make or break your sleep focus. They're not going to make or break your sleep. Focus on the fundamentals we've already discussed. Now, with that said, up to this point, we've primed our body for sleep by inducing relaxation and trying to reduce stress. But now we need to relax our minds. And for many of that, this is actually the hardest part in the quiet hours leading up to sleep. Our thoughts often seem to grow louder and louder, and I call these open cognitive loops, which is your brain, or my brain in particular. I have ADHD. It doesn't shut the fuck up, right? It's your brain's way of trying not to forget something and trying to find resolution to something. And you can solve your open cognitive loops by simply keeping a nighttime journal. So we go back to the gratitude journal or the daily journal, where you brain dump all the shit going through your mind right before you go to sleep. Now, this simple 5-minute practice is a great way of clearing your mind and your mental state right before you go to bed. So you're not just going around and around and around in your mind's eyes. You lie in your bed staring up at the ceiling And now that's basically everything. So right now, that's all you need to do for your shutdown protocol. That's going to prime your body and your mind for sleep. And now in the next video, we're going to go to how to sleep. So things to optimize your sleep, like sleep aids, or not sleep aids, breathing apparatuses, or certain things to buy, etc., etc. So thank you for watching this video, or getting to the point in this video. If you have any questions, let me know. Please watch the next video, because it's almost more important than this video. And I will see you in the next video / module.